Hello everyone, welcome to iRacing. That's right, I finally bit the bullet, as you could say. Signed up for iRacing. If you're not familiar with iRacing, is one of the most popular sim races out there. Of course, it's a little bit different. You got to pay a subscription, and as I said, I bit the bullet and signed up for the subscription, installed the game, and I've been playing the heck out of it. And I gotta say, I've been enjoying it. And here we are in the Yokoyama International Circuit, driving the Fanatec MX-5 Global Cup as someone just totally jump starts. But nonetheless, green lights, away we go. We qualified in third, and decent launch there. Now, it is a manual car, and I am driving with a manual gearbox. However, I am driving with a paddle shifter, so just keep that in mind. I'm not sure if any of these other guys who are racing during this race were using a H pattern to complete the authentic experience, as our jump starter there has just taken a trip into the barrier. And I'm sure his trip to the Shadow Realm was informative, and I'm sure the stewards probably threw the book at him for jumping the gun there. I don't know what happened with him. And by the way, I'm sure you noticed by now, no steering wheel. Now, the reason I turned it off is because I found it quite, distracting. And I found I tend to be a little bit more focused with it off, because I already have a steering wheel in front of me. If this bothers you, just imagine some sort of steering wheel. Imagine your favorite steering wheel as we come across the line, start off our second lap. We're keeping, with this first two, car number 5 just ahead of us as he goes very deep into the braking zone, and we get alongside him on the inside line, dragging all the way to turn 2 and maintain that inside line. Car 5 slots in behind us and lets us have that particular place, as car number 4, I believe, in front of us, running P1, had a bit of a moment coming out of that third corner there. So that series of corners, that section there's a lot of undulation in the tarmac, so the car gets very unsettled, particularly if you brake very late, and if you don't downshift and keep the car loaded, you're undoubtedly just gonna swing the rear end around, and that's just game over. And I just downloaded this game, and I'm getting to grips with how the mechanics work and how each car feels, so I wasn't trying to really be a hero and race super hard, but just trying to take advantage of opportunities where possible, and for the most part just trying to race clean. Because if you're not familiar with iRacing, and if you are familiar with this, you know what I'm talking about, but if you're not familiar with it, iRacing works on a license class system, and in order to be promoted in your license to the next license, that is, you got to meet a couple of prerequisites. You got to race a couple of a certain number of races, but you also have to attain and maintain a particular safety rating. Now, the safety rating, as the name suggests, is just how safe you drive. So that takes into account all types of incidents, going off track, whether you lose control of your car, and in particularly, quite heavily, you get penalized if you make contact with objects that includes other players. And you got to make sure you have a really good internet connection. You can see, I think, for a moment there, as we fly past the pit exit, I believe that's a jump starter coming out of the pit exit, still in the race, as we get a bit of a run on P1 here, and he goes a little bit wide, but he's still maintaining his line. He's got the speed on us coming out of the exit here of this tricky section of the track. I find it quite tricky. This part of the track is my weakness, I found, but we're still sticking with him, and this game's slipstream effect is quite strong, actually, even in these sort of lower performance cars. And honestly, I've just been having a blast driving this, and just trying to drive safe this entire time. As we're coming onto the penultimate corner, just foot to the floor, you just fling it through that particular corner. Coming onto the last corner, brake, just let the car swing around slightly, downshift, and you just ride the curb onto the main straight, and it's just foot to the floor as we go across under the Dunlop what do you call that, gantry into T1. Guy in P1, he's taking a little bit of a shallow line is what I've noticed. And you know, at this point, what I noticed, at least, you know, looking back at this footage, is I think this is the point where I was trying to, you know, pep talk myself and remind myself of the basics of racing. Braking in a straight line, waiting till the apex, turning in and getting as early as possible on the throttle without trying to be greedy. As you can see, the guy in P3, who was in P2, is keeping with us. So this battle we got going in the top 3 is really heating up. And honestly, one thing that I wish I should have done is actually kept the lap counter on the screen, because I've lost track of how many laps we've done so far. I think we've done 3 or 4 laps so far, and I believe the race in general is about 12 laps or 15 laps. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to double check. Oh, there we go. As we cross the line to start off, we have 10 laps to go with the guy in P1, car number 4, setting the fastest lap. As we fast forward a little bit further up in the race, and we've got a yellow flag at the latter part of the track. I believe that is our jump starter again. This one thing about iRacing is it can be very rewarding, but it can be very demoralizing as well. And I've noticed we've actually dropped the guy in P3, so car number 5 has disappeared off into the ether. Not exactly sure what's happened there, so it's just between me and car number 4 in front of us. Just chasing him down, as we can see, he's shifted back to using a more sort of normal racing line here, and I feel like I could use a little bit more speed through T1, but again, I was just being conservative, trying not to do anything stupid and trying to just be confident where I know I can be confident, and not trying to be, you know, overly zealous. As we come around the final corner, car number 4 gets a little bit squirrely, rear end swinging out, and I think he loses a little bit of momentum off that, and it's allowing us to close the gap, as again he switches to his very shallow entry into T1. Very bizarre, and it's allowing us to catch up to him. And again, to this, you see, as you go that little bit in the inside line, there's a lot of bumpiness. If you don't keep the car loaded, I find that it's very easy to just swing around, as we've got the run on this guy now, and we're getting in his slipstream and closing the gap. And honestly, I was having so much fun as car number 4 goes a little bit wide, but he's maintaining and covering off that inside line to prevent us from an attack. And again, I'm just trying to be conservative here, and for the most part, I'm just trying to keep the pressure on him in the hope that he makes a mistake at some point, rather than trying to be overly zealous. I think this was my 4th or 5th race in iRacing, and I was just trying to be a clean racer. As we come onto the main straight, that slipstream effect is so pronounced. As we slingshot past on the outside of car number 4, we just giving him the space there, and then we slide across his bow, and he slots in behind us, and we're up to P1, baby. that was a heck of a battle, but it's not over yet. As you can see, my weakness in this part of the track is really showing itself, as car number 4 is again sticking with me and making up some ground, and momentarily there, but we managed to get a better run. As we come around this hairpin, someone's bumper has come off, and we can see 2 cars just disappearing off in the distance there around the corner. I think they might have been involved in a slight tangle, and when you have traffic, it can be quite tricky to navigate. As we managed to get past the yellow car without any issue, but then this guy in the red and blues sort of cuts across ever so slightly on the racing line, but that's alright. We're going to use him for a little bit of a slipstream effect and just slingshot past him and give us that extra bit of, you know, natural DRS speed boost, and trying to make sure I hit my braking mark around the, I think just past the gantry, in between the gantry and the pit exit blue cone, and again trying to make sure I keep the car loaded through this particular corner, because it's so easy to just rotate it around. As we fast forward, coming around onto the last corner and onto the main straight, the white flag, and we're about to start our final lap, and you can see we've slowly dropped and built a gap to car number 4 behind us. As we cross the line onto the final lap, straight into T1, sliding the car across, and basically So final lap, again, try not to be silly about it and just trying to focus on the basics, braking in a straight line and turning in smoothly, trying to hit every apex and use every bit of the track where possible, and just trying to drive a clean lap towards the end of the race, not trying to be overly zealous and overly greedy with the throttle, and just maintaining that gap to the guy in P2. As you can see, we've got a bit of traffic in front of us as well. And yeah, honestly, it's so easy to just get caught up in a incident, which obviously then tanks your safety rating. Sometimes you can get away with it, and you might get a slight increase in your safety rating if you have maybe 1 or 2 incidents. But still, way better to just finish a race, speaking off, and across the line. End of race, P1, baby. That was my very first win in iRacing. And I don't know what the spotter's name, but I appreciate I appreciate his support and encouragement. Man, this was tough. I'll tell you guys that. It's a whole lot of fun, but it's tough. And I've got a whole bunch of other races that I've saved where I had really good results, and hopefully I'll be bringing them out in the coming weeks. And so we got someone just off the track here, and I just like just the way this sim is set up. It just feels so intuitive how everything just works. You can either use the website, or I'm using a mixture of both the website and the racing UI, just depending on what you're doing. For example, if it's like a league race, I just use the website. If you're just racing just an everyday race that's in the series list, I just use the racing UI. Both work fairly well. And yeah, this was hopefully more to come. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed racing it. And if you are a iRacing aficionado, leave your comments down below. And if you liked it, leave a like and subscribe. As always, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.